Hey guys, so I just finished my exposure. I didn't really document it on tape today because I didn't really feel the need to. I mean, it was a 5, and I mean, in terms of choking on food, it was a 5 of how much I feel my specific phobia. It's just decided really not to showcase it anymore since the changes from high to low have become so small that, I mean, I know in a way they become so small that no one is really going to want to watch them. I mean, we can talk more about how in the earlier stages of my videos they were so high and there was a big gap, a big disparity between like a 70 to a 50, or even from a 65 to a 60. It was so pronounced at 65 to a 60 that I could talk so much about it. Nowadays, when it's a 5 to a 0, I mean zeros, I get zeros, and I'm very thankful for this. This is one of the things you should be trying to do as well, as practice gratitude, but that's besides the point. I'm very thankful for having 5s and 0s. It's really hard to discuss like anything related to choking phobia at that point because there is very little choking phobia. So with that being said, today I'm going to talk about 5 common causes of anxiety. First of all, anxiety is a future-oriented concern. Like, obviously, I've been through many definitions of anxiety. This is just another one for people to learn and kind of bring together with everything else you learned and kind of just find out for yourself what the truth is about anxiety and mental health and psychology and whatnot. Anxiety is defined as a future-oriented concern that may lead people to avoid situations that trigger or worsen their distress. So again, it's worrying about the future. Like for me, worrying about choking on food and avoiding situations that lead to me, eating. So, number one common cause of anxiety: rumination or overthinking. I do that a lot. Does that. Second one is low self-esteem. If you have low self-esteem, you need to remember that a lot of it comes from what you assume other people are thinking about you. And unless you have some magical powers or some crystal ball to understand other people's thoughts, right? Like any sort of magical powers, which they don't exist. I mean, you will not know what other people are thinking about you. Therefore, how can you make the assumption that they're thinking anything about you, right? And B, that they are, in a way making you feel bad, making you thinking bad things about you. In a way, it's more of like a negative feedback loop, like I feel crummy, therefore I am crummy. I mean, it's like emotional reasoning. You have, just to recap, you really have no idea what other people are thinking. And if someone was to say, I think that person is thinking bad about me, there needs to be evidence. And a lot of it in terms of self-confidence, comes from, traumas in the past, perhaps like, for me at least, I didn't have a lot of friends in high school. I moved around a lot. There's a lot of like confluence of events, and I'm generally a very shy kid. You need to remember though that this is a common experience shared among millions of people, if not hundreds of, millions of people. Low self-esteem is something common for everybody, and you're not special for having low self-esteem. I know that sounds very negative. It's just that it's a good way of realizing we're all kind of, experiencing this together. We're all kind of, it's very common. Psychologists have seen this, and it's nothing to necessarily be unduly worried about. It's very common to have low self-esteem. In terms of working out of it, you know, if you have social phobia that goes with no low self-esteem, again, graduated exposures. For people that, you know, have low self-esteem and perhaps don't have social phobia or mild social phobia or whatever, social phobia where they're or non-existent, they just have low self-esteem. You need to understand, where is that coming from? I mean, is it coming from your parents? Is it coming from your society? Is it coming from you being bullied? Is it coming from, you know, a sexual type of orientation, identity, right? Is it coming from drug abuse? You need to just sit down and, you know, write down, like, okay, why is my low self-esteem, right? Like, is it because of this or is it because of that? And write everything you can possibly think of. And then, like, just go over and be like, well, it's probably all of them. Okay. And then be like, well, if it's all of them, wouldn't that be like kind of like unrealistic? Really, all of them? Like, consider your life. I mean, it's possible. And the day that what I want people to start doing is evidence-based thinking. Thinking about it from the evidence-based, like, why do I feel like I have low self-esteem? It's really an emotional reasoning thing. Like, it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to, you know, sometimes have low self-esteem. It's when it interferes with your functioning, with your school or work or, you know, occupation or your daily functioning. You're unable to eat and dress yourself. You kind of need to, you know, see where it's coming from. Like, you know, it's getting clinical in a way. Next one is pessimistic thinking. Right, thinking just negative. In psychology, it's called negative filtering. Pessimistic thinking is a big one. I mean, you don't even realize you're doing it. You're actually you assume it's true. And most things that we assume are true, we don't really think about, right? Because there's no need for critical thought on things that are known as absolutely true. So when you start, you know, thinking these pessimistic thoughts, realize that they're not necessarily true. They're just thoughts. Like, thoughts are, you know, ridiculous sometimes. You can have thoughts about killing people. I just had a thought about, I want to kill. It's one of 40,000, 60,000 thoughts a human being has every day, right? It's recognizing that some thoughts are more, you know, we assign more importance to them than others. And if we're assigning more importance to thoughts like, you know, the world sucks, or everyone hates me, or, you know, you're seeing everything through a pessimistic lens, you understand not everything is pessimistic. Not everything is blanket negative. Like, evidence-based. Not everything is just negative. I mean, unless you can truly find not one positive thing in your conscious experience, then you're lying. You're being pessimistic to the point where it could get to a clinical level where you're actually negatively filtering everything you see, and it leads to panic, anxiety, depression, and all that stuff. If you could just simply realize this is just a thought. Next one is obviously a bit self-explanatory: traumatic events. Right, traumatic events obviously lead to anxiety. There's just no scientific evidence. I mean, that's just common sense. If you have a traumatic event, you don't want to think about it. When you don't think about it, what happens is you're not necessarily exposing yourself to, you know, the root cause of what exactly is bothering you. And so you end up doing things that you don't necessarily understand why you're doing them, from acting out to, you know, drug abuse, sexual acts, stealing, getting in trouble with the law, because you're not really wanting to deal with the real trauma that you had. And at the end of the day, I mean, I hate saying end of the day, so I'm not going to say that. What I mean to say is deal with your traumas, as difficult as it sounds, because you don't want to be ruled by your traumas. You don't want to be ruled by your anxieties and your fears. You want to, at one day, have a resolution, right, to these problems. That's what I hope these videos kind of show, is how, you know, my specific phobia can be lowered and managed. And if you use the same tools I've outlined, other people can do the exact same thing. It's not magic, it's simple science, it's simple facts. I try to be very fact-based in these videos. So again, traumatic events is something you obviously, that's going to be something that you're going to need someone to talk to about. I mean, like a licensed person who knows what they're talking about. This is not something you should be doing alone and you know, hiding from and, you know, and being in denial of, because that's not healthy. All right, take it from me, it's not healthy. Okay, I mean, really, it's not healthy to just, like, you know, experiencing a trauma and then having no one to talk to about it, have nothing, no way to express it. The body needs to express those difficult emotions, and they're gonna express them anyway. It's like breathing, the body's gonna do it anyway. It's how you can channel it into positive things, or it will become negative, right? It really is kind of like that. I hope this doesn't sound too new agey for you people. New age, I'm not a fan of that stuff. Anyway, number 6, new experiences. Last kind of reason as to why people may have anxiety is new experiences. Scared of change, scared of getting better, scared of getting worse, scared of going to the doctor's office, scared of, you know, getting out of bed, scared of going for a walk, because it requires change, right? And change is one of the things that scares me, and it scares other people who have depression specifically, because with depression you have rigid thinking. And I can see, like from my research, when you have rigid thinking, you're gonna not want change, right? I mean, especially if you're stubborn like me, you're gonna have this rigid thinking, and you're not gonna want to change anything. And especially if you think you're full of yourself, you're so smart. There's something I need to work on as well. Being this smart ass, being this, you know, I know everything. While at the same time, you know, not knocking down the fact that, you know, I'm an intelligent person, and I'm sure everyone out there watching is intelligent. You know, in their own way, they're intelligent. Yeah, it's you know, it's about believing in yourself. It's about saying, okay, I may not have, you know, even people that are considered like not necessarily smart, they have other skills to you know, bring to the fore. And for people who have, like, unfortunately, like, I can only imagine how it would feel as a caregiver to live with people who have, like, you know, mental retardation and stuff like that. Even those people have a part to play, and, you know, they can embrace new experiences. They can, you know, be okay and in touch with themselves. It's not like they're less people than other people. They're human beings like everybody else. Anyway, and getting off track, new experiences is something that can really, 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 really cause anxiety, right? Yeah, it's just, it's scary, you know. It's like, I'm gonna eat more chicken nuggets because I'm hungry. Sorry guys, I kind of want to eat too. Can I just have a little bit? I know it's not perfect. I'm just eating. I don't care. I said I didn't want to eat that much. In full disclosure, I had some potato chips earlier, and now one chicken strip and a handful of flour fries, which I felt really, really, really guilty eating, because I told myself I'm just gonna have the chicken strips. And then when I had one, I'm like thinking to myself right now, should I eat the second one? I don't mean should, like, you know, I mean, what I'm saying is, should I eat the second one? And I don't really want to say should. What I want to really say is, do I need to eat the second one? I'm considering the salt content in them. And if someone's asking, well, if you don't like fast food, you know, I mean, don't order it. Like, if you don't like this salt content, don't eat it. Well, at the same time, it's hard for people who, you know, really, I mean, it's hard to eat healthy. It's not I mean, you see people just do it because it's easy, you know. And me coming from having choking phobia, the last thing I want to do is you kind of have more, I don't want to say pressure on food. That's what I'm saying. Pressure on food. And at the same time, I need to realize that a healthy diet, you have to balance that convenience and not agitating your anxiety versus a healthy diet, which in a way will help your mental health and physical health. Okay, so let's see what else I wrote here. Just change, basically, right? Change can be scary, especially if it's sudden and stressful, but it's also one of the many constants in life. It takes a lot of emotional maturity to learn to embrace change. It really does. I mean, I'm a very stubborn person, and it took me years to, realize some of the things that happened in my life. I mean, regardless of, they were scary and they were full of change and fraught of change. They didn't kill me though. It wasn't fatal. And it actually gave me an opportunity to take my mental health seriously, right? So yeah. I want to talk more about that. I have very difficulty expressing my emotions though because of my OCPD. I have difficulty kind of connecting with people in that way. So I hope I don't coming off as cold or distant. I really want people to understand that I want to keep this fact-based, and also that I've experienced anxiety, and I experience it on a daily basis, and not as much as I used to, and I've learned tools to manage it. Alrighty. So obviously, panic attacks and anxiety are, related and whatnot. Sorry guys, I'm hungry and I'm a pig and I'm gonna eat on camera. It seems unclassy or whatever, or uncouth to me. I'm still gonna do it because I'm just really hungry. Okay. Sorry, I'm so hungry. And I find it helps to talk to someone while eating. So even if no one watches this video, I still have this sense of duty to be professional, like I'm talking to somebody. Because it helps connect with people, obviously. So yeah, anxiety and panic attacks are very similar. Panic attack is when you experience symptoms of anxiety to a very high degree. Remember when I was in 70s in my anxiety? A panic attack is when you experience those symptoms all at once, right? At least 2 or 3 major of them. And I've already covered panic attacks, just real quick, because a little more. Just for you guys to relax and realize that sometimes what you're thinking, is a normal bodily sensation. Okay, it's not necessarily you getting sick or even the onset of a panic attack, because a lot of times just knowing the symptoms of anxiety can help a person better be okay with what they're feeling in their bodily sensations. For me, a big one was I didn't know, not necessarily realizing it, because there's a difference between realizing it and actually having it click in your mind. I realized early on choking anxiety, was related to, the anxiety of feeling chestness in your throat, a tightness in your throat, a tightness in your chest. I was negative filtering though, because I learned that years and years ago, and I was negative filtering, and I was thinking, oh, so that means it's going to get worse. Anxiety causes choking anxiety, therefore my choking anxiety will get worse, and my anxiety will get worse. I never really stepped out of my, I want to say, thoughts and emotions and said to myself, well, I mean, that's a negative feedback loop. If I said instead, well, how do I get rid of the anxiety? Then I can get rid of the anxiety, and then I can decrease my choking phobia, and then I can continue doing that, right? So, with that being said, I'll end it there. I wanted to talk about the symptoms. It's just, okay, I'll talk about the symptoms and that's it. So this is one last thing I want to talk about, the symptoms of a panic attack. If you have these symptoms, you could have a panic attack. At the same time, it could just be a normal bodily sensation, and you need to kind of realize what is what. Like, where exactly are you? Really weigh the evidence. Is the symptoms that I'm about to describe related to anything else, or are they related to you about to have an anxiety attack, or you having an anxiety attack? So the symptoms are pounding heartbeat, trembling, sweating, shaking, difficulty breathing, tear that is almost paralyzing, dizziness, lightheadedness, churning stomach, acidity, indigestion, right? Diarrhea, choking, chest pain, hot flashes or sudden chills, tingling in fingers or toes, also known as pins and needles. That's a lot, I know. And for me, I know when I had a panic attack, or like one of the worst ones I had, that I can remember, I definitely felt the dread. What did I say here? The tear that is almost paralyzing. Really, you feel like everything you're doing is wrong and bad, and it's just making your anxiety worse because you're just stuck in your thoughts, and you're just stuck in this whole type of just like you're gonna die, and everything you've done up to this point is wrong, and everything you continue doing because it's predicated on what you're doing before is wrong, and it's all wrong. And you understand that's you're making categorical imperative. It's black and white thinking. It's really more black and white thinking than a categorical imperative. It's black and white thinking. You're just thinking it's either this way or that way. Well, there's what about in the middle? What about, game of sums? I don't mean to be flippant. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that have to wrestle with contradictions every day, and they don't. That doesn't mean people who have panic attacks are any worse than those people. It just means that some has to do with genetics and some has to do with environment, and we need to take the tools to deal with them. We need to learn those tools. Like I said, deep breathing, calm place, just staying with it. Literally just going there and being like, okay, do your worst. I mean, really, like, okay, get me anxiety. Like, where's the evidence? I mean, really, I mean, and I know for me, I don't like thinking about the evidence. It's too much. I'll end with this. Evidence-based thinking, is too much. Sometimes you just need to take a deep breath back. All right, I just can't. You gotta focus on, pick and choose. Not pick and choose, like, deal with your anxiety to a level where it's like, how do I explain it? For me, at least, evidence-based thinking is exhausting. Perhaps it's because I'm almost over-analyzing every one of my thoughts. I don't want to really do that, so... And don't try to do that. Let your thoughts come. Yeah, just let them come. No one's like, I mean, it's you. You're the judge of, right? What you choose to really give attention to. Because as Dr. Greenberger said, you have about 60,000 thoughts a day. And trust me, you can't pay attention to every single one of them. So just kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Just kind of allow the anxiety to do its worst. And then, just mark it, just give a number in the beginning, and then just allow it to do its worst. And just see the physical manifestations of it. See it, right? Be faint in public if you have to, make a scene. I mean, not necessarily like to the point where like you're breaking laws or annoying people. Just be allowed to be embarrassed, be allowed to be afraid, be allowed to be scared, be allowed to be vulnerable, be allowed to not know, be allowed to be put on the spot. No one's ever died from any of those things. Unfortunately, though, we have a bunch of shame and a bunch of, like, we just kind of gotta hold on to, like, oh my God, what will they think? What will I think? What will my, core beliefs think? What will my religion, God? I mean, you gotta live your life. I mean, you gotta live your life. I mean, you gotta live your life, and you gotta just obviously have, like, codes and morals and be a good person, and they don't. I mean, I think I'm talking to myself more than anybody else in this video, so I'll end it here, because this is videos for others, not me. So I went from a 5, went to a 0. I have one more bite because I'm super hungry. Do the exposure here. It's like it's a 0. Wendy's makes good chicken nuggets. I mean, good chicken strips. Just think how much free you'll be after facing your fears. All right, man. I really want these videos to help. I really want these videos to connect with people. I really do, because I think they will help people. I'm thinking about revisiting my Islam and gay videos again, because they got a little traction as well. So let me guys know if anybody still wants to hear about that. I know it's somewhat popular. My friends even want me to talk about it more. So we'll see. I mean, it's obviously difficult, and because it's difficult, I'm gonna try to do it. Remember, guys, schedule is not necessarily all in place right now. Give me about a week, and hopefully the schedule will be better. Probably gonna have a couple more bites of that chicken nugget. So good. Remember, guys, stay with it.